Over the next 10 years, the way we get around is about to go through its biggest change in a century. We're talking self-driving cars, flying taxis, delivery drones, and this isn't science fiction anymore. It is right on our doorstep.
But here's the thing. This isn't really about the cool new vehicles. The real revolution, the one that's going to change everything, well, it's a lot quieter. It's more complex, and honestly, way more profound. It's the invisible system, the intelligence, the data, the connectivity that's going to link all of this together, turning our cities into these living, breathing organisms of movement.
So, how is this all actually going to play out? In this explainer, we're going to cut right through the hype. We'll start on the ground with RoboTaxis, then we'll take to the skies with drones and flying cars. We'll look at how they all come together, map out a few possible futures, and then get real about the risks and rules to see what the next decade truly holds.
Okay, so why does this matter right now? Well, because our world is changing, and it's changing fast. By 2030, the UN thinks almost 5 billion of us will be living in cities. And at the same time, we all want instant everything, permanent connection, and, oh yeah, a shift to a greener world. The old ways of getting from A to B, they just can't keep up. Our mobility has to evolve, or our cities will literally grind to a halt.
All right, let's kick things off with the revolution that's happening right under our noses, on our streets, the rise of the RoboTaxi.
We're talking about true level 4 and 5 autonomy. So this is not just some fancy cruise control. These are vehicles that can 100% drive themselves. They can make really complex decisions in the middle of a chaotic city street, all without a single bit of human input.
Now here's where it gets interesting. The reality check. Just a few years back, the experts were all saying this stuff would be widespread by 2025. Well, here we are, and the timelines have slipped. Turns out the engineering is way harder than anyone thought. The costs are still sky high, and getting the public to trust a car with no driver, that's a huge hurdle.
But the reason everyone is pushing so hard is because the payoff is just enormous. I mean, a 90% drop in accidents? That isn't just a statistic. That means saving hundreds of thousands of lives around the world every single year. A 40% drop in traffic? That could give us weeks of our lives back. And this isn't just some theory. Companies like Kodiak Robotics are already running fully driverless commercial trucks on highways in Texas. This tech is leaving the lab and it is hitting the road.
Okay, now let's lift our gaze up from the streets and look to the skies, because there is a second parallel revolution taking shape right above our heads.
Think about the last thing you ordered online. It probably showed up in a van, right? Stuck in the same traffic as everybody else. Now I want you to imagine a small electric drone flying a straight line from the warehouse right to your doorstep. It's faster, it completely bypasses traffic, and, for small packages, it has a way smaller carbon footprint. That, right there, is the disruptive power of autonomous logistics.
And believe me, this goes so far beyond getting your pizza a few minutes faster. In places like Ghana and Rwanda, drones are already delivering life-saving blood and medicine to remote clinics. They're turning a 4-hour drive into a 15-minute flight. This is the same tech that can deliver prescriptions to an elderly person's door, inspect a bridge without risking a human life, or find a lost hiker in the mountains. It's a fundamental change in access and efficiency.
But what about flying cars for people? Well, here's another dose of reality for you. As this research shows pretty clearly, for the kind of short city trips that most of us make, these electric vertical takeoff and landing aircraft, or eVTOLs, are actually less energy efficient than a simple electric car. So where's their sweet spot? Well, for now, it's probably those longer trips, like an airport to downtown shuttle, just soaring over all the gridlock down below.
So, okay, we've got this revolution on the ground and a revolution in the air. For a while, they've been on totally separate tracks. But the moment that changes everything, and this is really the core idea of this whole explainer, is when they stop being separate things and start talking to each other.
And that brings us to the trillion-dollar question. I mean, think about it. If you have a RoboTaxi, a delivery drone, and an air taxi all flying and driving in the same square mile, how do they coordinate? How do they not crash into each other? How do they work as a single smart system? It's like trying to conduct an orchestra with no conductor.
The answer isn't one magic bullet. It's a whole stack of technologies all working together. You've got agentic AI acting as the brains, letting each vehicle make smart choices on its own. Then you have advanced 5G and 6G networks as the nerves. This is the super fast communication that lets them all talk to each other in real time. Specialized computer chips are the muscle, giving them the raw horsepower to process everything they see.
And finally, cloud and edge computing act as the backbone, managing this insane flood of data that makes the whole system smart.
And when you put all of that together, you get to the real end game: mobility as a service, or MaaS. So forget owning a car, forget even knowing the bus schedule. Just imagine opening one app on your phone. The system instantly figures out the best way to get you where you're going, calls a RoboTaxi to your door, which then zips you over to a local landing pad where an air taxi is already waiting to fly you downtown. It's one single, seamless, on-demand network built completely around you.
So what is this actually going to look like over the next 10 years? Well, it's not just one future. Let's walk through 3 different scenarios for how our world could change.
Okay. In a conservative future, things move pretty slowly. Robotaxis are around, but only in these small, tightly controlled zones in a few cities like Phoenix or San Francisco. The expected scenario is probably where we'll land. Robotaxis become a pretty common sight in the downtown areas of maybe a dozen big cities, and drones are handling a lot of our package and medical deliveries. But then there's the transformational future. This is where tech and regulations move faster than we think, and suddenly, the whole idea of owning a car in a city just starts to feel old, and our skies become just another highway for people and goods.
But to get to any of those futures, we have to deal with some really big hurdles. This is where we got to pump the brakes and be realistic. See, the technology is only half the battle. Public acceptance is the other half, and survey after survey shows that safety is the #1 thing holding people back. But it's more than that. People have very real worries about who controls their location data, what a city with 1,000 drones buzzing overhead is going to sound like, and the massive impact all this automation will have on millions of driving jobs. These are real concerns, and they have to be addressed, not just brushed aside.
And then you have the rules. Regulators are trying to figure out these huge, era-defining questions. How do you safely mix thousands of autonomous drones into the same airspace as passenger planes? Who owns the digital trail of your entire life's journey? And when an autonomous car crashes, who's at fault? The owner? The car maker? The person who wrote the software? These are incredibly complex problems, and there are no easy answers.
So with all of these challenges, you kind of have to ask, right? Why is this all still moving forward so fast? What is the ultimate promise here that's driving all this money and all this innovation?
It's because this isn't about having faster gadgets. It's a necessary response to these massive forces that are reshaping our planet. It's a potential solution for cities that are choking on traffic. It's a path to a greener supply chain. And it's a way to meet our deep desire for a more connected, more efficient world. This is about making our sprawling cities livable and sustainable for billions of people.
So here's the bottom line. The arrival of this technology feels inevitable, but the future it creates is not. Are we going to build a world that's more efficient but less fair, more connected but less private, more automated but maybe less human? The technology doesn't get to decide that. We do.
If you want to understand more about the forces that are really changing our future, make sure you subscribe. Thanks for joining us.